Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you doing? Guys, this is my third or fourth response to my brother, my beloved brother Shamsi. My brother who, when I came to Speaker's Corner, he was very, very welcoming to me and very warm with me, and really I don't have a problem with him. And the issues have actually been, to be quite frank, from his end, manhaj type issues, and I understand where he's coming from. Look, he operates from a certain paradigm, and our brother Shamsi, we have to make excuses for him, because sometimes you'll hear him when he's speaking about me speaking in disparaging ways, and people that follow the mainstream Sunni line of thinking, we have to make excuses for the brother. Honestly, we have to make excuses, because when he's saying things like, oh, this clown, this kadhab, this liar, and he's talking about me. Look, I'm not taking offense. I actually hope that he gets rewarded for that stuff, because within his paradigm, he thinks that that's correct. He thinks that that is the high moral ethic and the moral high ground. We reserve that stuff to maybe the enemies of Islam and so on and so forth. But he actually has that as a paradigm within Islam for who he sees as Murtad or innovators of the religion and so on and so forth, and he classes us as that. So you see, he thinks he's getting reward for all of that. That's fine, and may Allah give you reward, akhi, and may Allah keep us all sincere. But having said that, what I really want to start by saying here is that there is a general commandment in the Quran, and you're people of Quran and Sunnah, so you'd know what I'm talking about. There's general commandments to the effect of being humble with the believer. Being humble with the believer, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says many things about that. So for example, Allah says, وَخْفِضْ جِنَاحَكَ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ, lower your wing to the believers. وَخْفِضْ جِنَاحَكَ لِمَنِ اتَّبَعَكَ مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ, and lower your wing to those who follow you from the believers. When Allah is describing the people who are on the haqq and the followers of Prophet Muhammad, he says رُحَمَاء بَيْنَهُم, that they are people who have rahmah between them. That means they have mercy between them. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the favored qawm, that he would replace the people who would do riddah of Islam, he said about them that يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مَن يَرْتَدَّ مِنكُمْ عَنْ دِينِهِ فَسَوْفَ يَأْتِي اللَّهُ بِقَوْمٍ يُحِبُّهُمْ وَيُحِبُّونَهُ عزة على الكافرين أذلة على المؤمنين. This is the shahid. أذلة على المؤمنين. Basically being very humble with the believers. So we all have to try and be as humble as possible, at least from our paradigm, because there's no mukhassas for this. At the end of the day, there's no specifier for that. This is a general rule. The Quran, you don't find something like be tough with the believers and be harsh with وَغْلِظْ عَلَيْهِمْ or something like that. You won't find that about the believers. Generally speaking, you'll find these kinds of commandments, and that's what we say we follow Quran and Sunnah. And really, this is from the Quran and clearly from the Sunnah as well, because this is the way the Prophet Muhammad acted. So we have to make sure, as followers of the mainstream Sunni position, who don't put, and I'm not saying that they do either, who don't put the aqwal of the ulama above and beyond the aqwal of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm not saying they do that. Yeah, I'm not saying this. But what I'm saying is that if we claim not to do that, we have to try and be as humble as possible with our brothers from those particular understandings, those particular manahij, and those particular sects, or what you want to call them, ahzab, or whoever those brothers are. So that's how we start. What I want to say now is that the whole surah of the mas'ala is that there's a guy that came, a heckler, worthless heckler, that came to Shamsi. And this worthless heckler was saying what? He was saying to Shamsi, he was saying to him, your Prophet had sex with her, his daughter-in-law, and he kept repeating this thing. Now, Shamsi responded saying, yeah, it's true, the Prophet had sex with her. Oh, he didn't say it's true. He said, yeah, the Prophet, are you happy now? He had sex with his daughter-in-law, are you happy now? And even me repeating that statement of what he said is actually quite sickening to me, to be honest. I don't even want to say it, yeah? But having said that, what was the response to, it was a two-stage response. Stage one, he said, look, well, here's some footages of you and Ali Dawah. When people are saying disparaging things about the Prophet, you're saying yeah and nodding along. And let me tell you something, that's wrong. Thank you for pointing that out. Thank you for correcting us. That's incorrect. But two wrongs don't make a right. And in fact, what you've done is much more severe. I admit personally, I'm sure Ali wouldn't have a problem with admitting this, that if we were just nodding along when this person is talking trash about our religion, then at any point in our Speaker's Corner time, this is not something we should have done. It's incorrect, and astaghfirullah wa natubu ilayh, yani for doing that. Actually, thank you for pointing that out. Now what I want you to do is exactly what I've just done. It's not very difficult. Like, I've just done that. It took me, what, 20 seconds? And wallahi, I mean it. Wallahi, thank you for pointing that out. I'll be much more careful next time. What I want you to say is something similar. And if you find it difficult to do so, you got to ask yourself why. On a psycho-spiritual level, why is it difficult for you to realize that this is haram? Now, when you're coming with so-called evidences and say, oh, the Surah Al-Dukhan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Duq innaka antal azizul kareem, that taste the punishment you are, and it's talking to Abu Jahl, you know, the generous Al-Aziz Al-Kareem, the mighty and the generous. Do you think this is a false statement? This is my first question. Do you think when the gatekeepers of the hellfire are saying to Abu Jahl, you are the Aziz and Kareem, that this is there's a wedge head there, there's no wedge of haqq there. There's no haqq there in that. Basically, as I've explained to you before, this is hikayah, as At-Tabari mentions. And yes, you can say it's tawbih and sukhriya as well, but there has to be a wedge of haqq in it. If there's no haqq in it, then what you're saying, and be careful here, man, and this is why I'm saying you're getting yourself into a very dangerous territory. What the implication is that you are saying Allah has uttered a falsehood, and this is takdeeb of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and kufr akbar, yukhrij sahibu min al-millah, because it takes the person who says that out of the millah. Kufr akbar yukhrij sahibu min al-millah. If you want to say that this is equivalent to what you've said, which is no wedge of haqq at all, that the Prophet did not have sex with his daughter-in-law, there's no wedge, there's no way in which you can make sense of that in a haqq perspective, in a truth or correspondence perspective. You're equating your falsehood statement with the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordered the angels to say, and this is the Mohsin Khan translation, taste the punishment because you are pretending to be innaka antal aziz al-kareem على وجه السخرية, or you could call it a tawbih or tahakum. Sorry, yeah. So if you're talking about that, there's no similarity there, mate. And the reason why someone can actually, if you transcribe what you said and go to your own scholars, they'll say, sorry, but this is the person who has said this is a Murtad. You can actually get a fatwa like that, bro. Because if your implication is, and I'm not saying that this is what you are, bro. I'm saying 1, 2, 3 times. This is not what you are. We cannot go there with you, bro. You're clearly defending the honor of the Prophet, and you're clearly doing da'wah, and we love you and all that stuff. But this can actually lead to ridda. That's how deep it is, bro. Because if you're saying that there's a comparison to be made between the statement of truth in Surah Al-Dukhan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, statement of truth saying that he will get the gatekeepers of hell to tell Abu Jahl, Dhuq innaka antal azizul kareem, with your statement of kufr and falsehood, yeah, that the Prophet had sex with his daughter-in-law, then what you're saying is that basically it's permissible to repeat a lie, a falsehood. And therefore, what you're trying to say about that verse is that it's actually ghayr al-haqq, it's not true. Ghayr al-haqq, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is the implication, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He commanded His angels to speak a lie, and He spoke a lie in the Quran. You see the depth of this. And this is why I think, bro, you're becoming a serious liability for the Salafi publications. And none of the teachers that I've been in public correspondence with, including Abu Ayyad and Bilal Davis and Abu Khadija and so on, have fallen into something like this. None of them. And it's not fair for them that their reputation gets tarred, and this stain, which will now forever be associated with their organization, should be in place, yeah, and that you are such a liability to them because you are arrogant, with all due respect, enough not to see the severity of the kufri statement that you made and retract it. It's not fair for them, and I think that you will probably be on your last legs now as the recruiter or the promoter, whatever it is, role you have, voluntary job role you have with the Salafi publications. Yeah, and I'm willing to have this conversation because I've had enough of going back and forth with you. With all due respect, I think it's a lower level discussion anyway. I'd rather have this discussion with your teachers. And when me and you, your teachers consult, because although we're adversarial in our position with each other, when we consult with each other, or whether it be through the public profiles or whatever it is, and I bring this up and there's a back and forth, then a decision will be made about basically where you stand in terms of the Salafi publications. But as it stands now for the community, they can see that you're basically not open to correction, and this is a problem. And I said to you before, look, you have to reassess your intentions here. But when I speak to your teacher or have proper public correspondence with your teacher, and I'm sure you know, if he wants to come anytime to London, he's invited to Abu Ayyad is invited. Wallah, I invite him to a restaurant. You know, we'll have a delicacy other than the S-Pub specialty of eating Muslim brother flesh. But only joking. Obviously, from your paradigm, this is rewardable action. But yeah, we'll have a delicacy other than that, and we'll talk about the issues. And I'm sure there's lots of things to discuss. I mean, I don't know what this guy's doing. SubhanAllah, he's reversing into. I mean, it's clearly he's lost. He's lost. But as I was saying, we'll have that discussion with your teachers, because it seems like you're not budging on the issues. So there's nothing more for me to say about it. But for all intents and purposes now, all you should know is that you've put the organization you're meant to be promoting, which is the Salafi publications, into dire problem, because now they have to justify your actions, which is almost impossible thing to do if your consultative process, or if your maraja is the Quran, Sunnah and Salaf. And if this is the best thing you can bring as istidlal, and in the beginning you say this is a difference of opinion among the scholars. I don't know of any scholar who's ever said in the history of Islam that it's permissible to repeat the words of sexual dishonoring the Prophet to try and keep someone away. And once again, your evidences have fallen flat on their faces, and your attempts have been quite profoundly refuted, you know, to the point where I genuinely do believe that some people, because this has been a back and forth now, would think really badly of, you know, I wouldn't recommend anyone does pronounce takfir on the brother Shamsi, because he's not a kafir. As I said before, من ثبت إسلامه باليقين لا يزول بالشك. But you do have to be very careful, because you're dealing with kufri things, and you don't want, why risk yourself to go to hellfire, brother, of all due respect, by saying and promoting kufri statements. You're promoting it and justifying it through the deen. You could go to hell for that. من كذب عليه متعمدا فليتبوأ مقعده من النار. And also أن تقولوا على الله ما لا تفعلون. But you can be arrogant if you like. You can continue saying, you know, I don't want to be corrected. That's fine. But the people can see now, and it is what it is. And the consultation will continue with your teachers, because clearly this is not working with you. And we'll come to a decision and let you know what's going to happen.
So a call to action that I call everybody that is listening to this recording, do and take this very seriously, because wallahi, it will make a massive difference, is for the sake of our own brother Shamsi, who has now caused all of this unnecessary division, and who is incapable of cooperating with Sunnis, and finds it a problem to do so. Anyone who has subscribed to his channel or watches his videos, to immediately unsubscribe and to cease watching any of his videos until our brother repents for his actions and comes humbly to his brothers, and we will receive him humbly. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.